Hey, ladies. Thank you for being here. I am so excited to dive into today's podcast. But first, I want to grab your full attention really quick because I want to talk about something really exciting that's coming up. If you have been feeling exhausted, overwhelmed, anxious, or you feel like you're just living in constant survival mode, then listen up because this is for you. I am hosting a brand new 3-day mind body healing workshop. It's unlike anything I've ever done before. This is for you if you're a woman who feels like you've tried everything. You've tried all the supplements, the diets, the therapy, the positive thinking, and you still feel stuck in your stress, stuck in your symptoms, and in a spiral of burnout and survival mode. Over the course of these 3 powerful days, I'm going to teach you the exact nervous system regulation techniques that helped me and hundreds of women like you finally get out of fight or flight, start healing from chronic stress and trauma, and reconnect with our true selves, reclaiming our energy, getting our confidence back, and finally living in alignment with God's calling. You'll learn how to calm your body in real time, release trapped emotions and patterns that are keeping you stuck, release those limiting beliefs that are ruminating in your head, reclaim your energy and your mental clarity, regulate your emotions instead of reacting, rebuild your confidence and self-trust, and start feeling safe in your body again. This isn't just about managing your symptoms, it's about transformation. It's about becoming the woman who no longer feels like she's barely holding it all together. It's about healing at the root of your symptoms so you can finally feel that peace, your power, and your purpose in your everyday life. It's practical, powerful, and it's exactly what your nervous system has been craving. So grab your spot now. The link is in the show notes. There's limited spots available. I cannot wait to walk through this with you. See you there. Hey everyone. So we already know how many people feel stuck in the limitations of conventional medicine, and that's exactly why I created Holistic Health with Melissa, to take you on a journey from conventional to crunchy. Here you'll get empowering wellness insights, practical tips, and faith-centered strategies to help you feel your absolute best. In each episode, we'll dig into what true health and wellness really means. We'll dive into nutrition, lifestyle, mindset, and detox, all things so important to your health. And we'll chat about raising kids with intention and living life of faith. So join me to reclaim your energy, embrace your healthiest life, and find joy and purpose along the way. Hey everyone, welcome back to Holistic Health with Melissa. I am so excited that you are here. I have Ann Bennett with me today, and I am just thrilled to dive into this conversation with her. Ann is a wife, homeschool mom, and first-generation homesteader with a passion for non-toxic living, holistic health, and real food nutrition. She married her high school sweetheart, and together they are raising their 3 children on a beautiful pecan farm in Northeast Oklahoma. Ann and her family embrace a simple, intentional lifestyle rooted in wellness and sustainability. Through her platform, Ann challenges mainstream narratives and shares holistic health tips, nutrient-dense recipes, and practical ways to reduce toxin exposure. Whether she's offering clean product recommendations, inspiration for intentional living, or a glimpse into the farm life, and empowers others to pursue a lifestyle that supports lasting health and vitality. What a bio. I am so excited that you are here, Ann. Thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Melissa.
I am kind of like an Instagram stalker of yours.
Love
I've
it.
I've been following you for a while, and I'm obsessed with your content. Like you, I feel like are saying so many things that just resonate so deeply with me, and you're like, I align with you so on so many things, and I'm like, just shout it louder for everyone to hear. So, um, of course, when I had the opportunity to invite you on, it was like a no-brainer for me. Um, so yeah, I'm really excited. Tell me, like, how did you wind up here? How did you wind up in as a wife to a pecan farmer and sharing holistic health tips on Instagram? How'd you wind up here?
Well, I've always been someone who like goes all in when I'm passionate about something. I read a lot of books and I like to share what I learn. My husband jokes that he never has to read anything because I do all the reading and I tell him all about it. So why would he need to read anything? But when I learn something that has like potential to impact my life and I feel like it could profoundly impact other people's lives or their health, I will tell anybody that will listen. And I've always been on social media, but I never actually intended to become a content creator. I wasn't like trying to grow an audience. I was just sharing what I learned with people that I know. And I've done that for a really long time without growing an audience. But I didn't like consistently post videos and stuff. But last year, my husband started making videos for the farm. He was doing TikTok. I'm not a huge fan of TikTok, but he started sharing about farm life as a pecan farmer. He's like, there's no other pecan farmers on the internet that are doing this. And he had a couple of videos that went pretty viral. And we really, that opened our eyes to the potential of using social media to grow our customer base for our farm. Um, it's hard to, you have to get the customers when you're a local farmer, and that's half the battle. And farming is already really hard. So he convinced me to start sharing more intentionally on social media as well to kind of like help build an audience for our farm. So one thing that I had learned when we moved out to this farm is that farm fresh pecans taste so much better than store bought. And we come to find out through the process of farming and all the education there that most of the pecans at the grocery store not only are probably a year or more old, but that also means that the oils in the nuts have started to go rancid. They've oxidized and started to go rancid. So we started sharing that at like at the farmers market. And then I was like, I'm going to make video like that for social media. Well, that one went viral, which was amazing for our farm. I think, quadrupled our customer base in a matter of 2 months. And yeah, we got more orders in November and December of last year than we have in any like entire year combined. So it made a huge impact on our farm. And that just kind of opened my eyes to the potential for our farm. I was like, well, obviously, I need to continue trying to share quality information and grow a following because this is making a huge difference for our farm and for our future. So, something I've always been passionate about is health. That's something I read a lot about. So I was like, I can't, I don't think I can talk about pecans all the time. That's not like, maybe he can, but I can't. I'm not out there farming. I do a lot of our marketing and all that. So I was like, I'm just going to share health in general and everything that I've learned because I go against the grain on a lot of this. We've always taken the narrow road on all of this. So that's how I kind of got started with that. It was a pecan video that started it all, I think.
I love that so much. What a cool story.
Thanks.
Do you think your husband could talk about pecans all day?
Oh, he likes to make jokes and he shares a lot of good quality information too. So if anybody wants to follow our farm, he's entertaining, he's funny, and he shares a lot of good farming information.
Is he only on TikTok or does he have an Instagram?
I gave him the Instagram. So I had been controlling the farm page on Instagram and I was like, no, you really need to do Instagram too. So he's Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok now.
Okay, what's his handle?
I think it's just Great Buffalo Pecan Farm on all platforms. Yeah.
Okay. Go look that up. I can't wait. I didn't actually know that your husband was on social media. I can't wait to go follow him now.
Quick warning though, he's a firefighter and he brings his fire station humor to his social media. So you're going to hear a lot of jokes about his nuts on his social media. His pecans, of course, but he likes to use that.
That's so cool. How did you guys get into like pecan farming?
So my dad started this farm in 2000. He is actually in oil and gas, and his father was in oil and gas. But growing up, they had a cattle ranch, and my dad loved that. Like he had the farm on the side, and he that was a big part of his childhood, and his brother and he worked there together, and he knew he wanted to do something involving farming also, but he wanted something that was a little less time intensive. Well, immediately time intensive than cattle, because if you neglect cattle, they die, but if you neglect trees, they're going to be okay. They might need a little attention, but they're going to be okay. So he started this farm in 2000 and didn't really have time to do much with it. He had trees planted, and it takes pecan trees like 10 years before they start producing. So the farm was growing. And then by the time my husband and I got married, we were ready and wanted to move out here and manage the farm. Like, that's something that I've always wanted to live out in the country. I didn't grow up in the country. I've always loved horses. I wanted to have land. I wanted to have space. So we came out to the farm, and my husband took some classes and worked for another pecan orchard. And that's just kind of how we fell into managing the farm. And we've taken off with it from there.
So cool. What a cool story. That's like my dream life. I wish I could live on a farm.
I know I have to like pinch myself every day that I'm living like what I dreamed of as a child. I never
Right.
thought that it could actually happen, I think.
So cool. So earlier you said that you feel like you go against the grain on a lot of these things. Do you remember, was there like a point in time when you realized that you went against the grain on most of these things? Or was there like one specific thing that happened that you're like, oh, I'm not doing that. I'm going to do something that's like controversial. How did you get there?
So funny that you should ask, but it actually started with finances. So before we got married, I read Dave Ramsey's Total Money Makeover, and I just started like sharing with everybody, like, you don't want to be in debt, like you want to save, start your Roth IRA at 19, like screaming to the rooftops about this, and that upset some people. Like, people felt judged when I was really just excited about what I was learning. Like, oh my gosh, how much this could change your life if you do this style. And I think that was the first thing that we realized: we are going to live life differently. We're not going to do the same thing as everybody else, because if you do the same thing as everybody else, you end up fat and broke. I mean, like, that's the majority, and we don't want to do that. So that was the first thing for me, and then nutrition followed. I think that it took me a little. We started doing CrossFit together, and that's when I first heard about, like, I probably the paleo diet, and then I read Mark Sisson's Primal Blueprint, and I was like, this makes so much sense to be eating in like a more ancestral way, because that's how our bodies were designed. So that's what triggered it for me, but I've evolved a lot since then, because I've read dozens of books now. I deep dive into it and figured out what my philosophy on all of this is. Like, I don't think you have to be primal. I don't think you have to be paleo. I don't think you have to do any specific diet, any trend. It's just, in my opinion, just eating real food. Just eating food that is available, natural, that doesn't have to be refined in a factory.
Yeah, I so agree with you on that. And I feel like so much of the health crisis that we see in our culture right now is a direct correlation with the fact that so many people eat a diet high in processed sugar, like processed foods, high in sugar, high in, um, carbohydrates, and they're not actually eating real food. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that if you want to have a healthier life, it's really, really simple. You just need to eat food that's real food, that doesn't require a factory, and that will radically change your life.
Yeah. Um, what do you think, like, what is the hurdle with people? Maybe that this might be a hard question, but like, what is the hurdle? Why do people struggle with that so much? Because I feel like you hear that a lot, right? Like, just eat real food, but like, people can't do it.
I think that's I think there's a lot of factors involved there, because I feel like once you've been eating a lot of processed food, your body is craving that. It's a lot easier to say don't eat chips than it is to stop eating chips. Like, the concept simple, but actually doing it can be hard. Or people crave sugar. Your microbiome is actually causing you to crave sugar. So there's a period of time where you actually have to kind of detox from those foods, where it's hard, But then once you have, it becomes really easy, in my opinion, because you feel better, you have more energy, you look better, and then it's your food tastes better too. Once you've been not eating processed food, once you've been eating real food, if you go back and try like processed or fast food, it's kind of gross, in my opinion. I think so. Like I don't even want to eat at Chick-fil-A anymore. Like some people are like, oh, it's my treat on the side. I have no desire to eat there. That's like it tastes gross to me now.
Totally. I totally agree. Yeah, I have not eaten fast food for probably close to a decade now because I remember when I first started going through the whole like, wait, what are we eating? Like I remember like looking inside and going like, okay, what am I doing to myself that is creating an environment in which I feel like crap all the time? Like consuming stuff that's rotting my body and rotting my mind, right?
And I think another factor there is that it's so countercultural. It requires such a drastic change and choosing to be different from everybody else that is really challenging. Like when I first found out about seed oils, I looked all into it and I decided we're done. We're done with seed oils. And I got them out of my house. Like I told you, I'm an all in person. I don't like just ease into something. Like my kids were like, what? We don't get crackers again? And I got rid of it all. I switched like when we had chips, it was the avocado oil chips. And that was a radical change. And then I had to help my kids learn why we did
Yeah.
that because they're going to go out into the world too. They're going to go to birthday parties and they're going to go. And it's not that they can never eat those things. I'm not going to control whether or not they have a piece of cake with food dye at a birthday party, but I am going to inform them why we choose not to at home and what it can do for their health. And that if they choose not to, I will get them a different treat later. So I give them that option. And sometimes whatever, I want the cake at the party, fine. Like that's fine with me. But if they choose not to, I'll go get them something else afterwards. So it's just really hard. And I'm training my kids also that it's okay to be countercultural. It's okay to show up and like you can go to a party and you can not drink alcohol. You can still enjoy people and get all the other benefits from the party, from being around people, from the camaraderie, and you can still choose not to drink alcohol and have just as good of a time. And the same goes for birthday parties. You can go to a birthday party and you can choose not to eat the cake and ice cream, and that's not depriving yourself. You're still having a great time with people that you care about. That's just choosing not to have the things that are harmful for your health.
Right. I love that. I love that you're instilling that in your kids because I feel like I'm trying to do the same thing. And it's so important to bring up this generation with a clearer idea of what health is and how what we choose to do. Like obviously there's so many factors, right? There's environmental factors, there's social determinants of health, there's like your biology, all of those things, but we know for sure that your lifestyle is the biggest factor. So like what you choose to expose your body and your mind to is directly going to affect your health. And I feel like prior to, like I think I don't know how old you are. I'll be 40 this year, but like my parents' generation, like they didn't really talk about that or think about that. They were just eating whatever. Things were a lot different back then, like Lay's potato chips. I'm sure you know this. Like you look at a bag of Lay's potato chips from 1960 and you look at a bag of Lay's potato chips from 2020 and it's like it's not even real food anymore. It's like potatoes like aren't even the first ingredient, I don't think anymore. Like which is just wild. Like how can it be, it's just synthetic chemicals. So how old are your kids?
Uh, my oldest just turned 12, 10, and 9.
So when would you say like I often get asked this question because my kids are my youngest is about to be 5 and then my oldest is 9. And I started like probably when my oldest was like 5, like teaching him. So I'd love to know like when you started and do you ever think like do you feel like you should have started earlier or should have, do you feel like they were too young? Do they understand it? What has been your experience with bringing your kids alongside you and teaching them this information?
Well, from the beginning, we did baby-led weaning, and I knew from the beginning that I wanted to feed them primarily nutritious food. But it wasn't until around 2020 that my eyes really opened to how incredibly harmful ultra processed food can be. It was kind of just so we don't have that all that often kind of thing. Uh, but by then they were a little bit older. And I think my philosophy with the kids is that the younger they are, the more I'm going to control. And as they get older, the more I'm handing control over to them. But I'm giving them information as I'm handing that control over to them. So when they're really little, they don't have the ability to make the wise decisions. And I have to be teaching and training them. And I'm saying these are our decisions in our family right now.
Right.
But as they get older, I'm going to say, here's why we make these decisions in our family. This is why I've done this. But you get to make the choice. Here's how these choices can impact your health. You get to make the choice on this in this area. And the older they get, the more they get to make the choice. And by the time they're 18, the choice is all theirs. I've got no control over it whatsoever. But right now, my 12-year-old, I'm giving him more and more freedom to make these decisions on his own because he cares about his health and he knows how different foods make him feel. And maybe sometimes he's going to make the choice to eat the foods that don't make him feel great. And he'll recognize that and he'll not feel great. And then maybe he'll make better choices next time. But I'm not going to be overly controlling. And I'm also not going to give them all of the control at this point.
Yeah, I love that. I love like that's something that I've realized is like with my 9-year-old, I notice as we've gone through, he has like this is like a whole nother like rabbit hole that it's another story for another day, but like he has a ton of like food allergies and sensitivities and like all of the asthma, eczema, all the things. He has like the triad, right? He's yeah. Anyway, he so we've always been really mindful of what he eats because we have to because he has anaphylactic allergies to nuts and I've just witnessed him though as he's gotten older. Like he had his anaphylaxis when he was 3. So it's been 6 years of like being allergic to nuts and being mindful, but it's kind of slowly evolved into recognizing him and I both kind of walking this path where I'm like, um, maybe we shouldn't be eating food dye. Maybe we shouldn't be, eating the seed oils and those sorts of things and watching his own like wheels in his brain turning and recognizing, oh, when I eat that, I don't feel good. And watching him choose not to is like such a proud mom moment. I love that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, what do you think was like the biggest challenge for you when you kind of like made the decision? I know it was kind of like over the, period of time. You said 2020, you really recognized that like the ultra processed food, so you probably threw everything away in the pantry that same day, I imagine, but what do you think was like the biggest challenge that you faced when you were deciding to like go against the grain and like really transition into a more like intentional, healthy lifestyle?
I think the biggest challenge was teaching my kids also because at first they felt very deprived of all the things they used to have and their friends had. And pre 2020, we were in public school and you can't control what they eat at public school and the snacks and like everything. It's so frustrating. Even then, like before I had eliminated seed oils, I was like, oh my gosh, every day they're giving them junk at school and I can't do anything about that and it's infuriating. A kindergartner is not going to say no thank you at snack time to a snack that's terrible for them. So that I think that is probably it's going to be a lot of people's biggest hurdle is just, I'm going to say it again, I'm going to sound like a broken record, but just going against what's culturally normal, like
Right.
going out to eat and choosing to find something on the menu that doesn't have seed oils in it. And we don't even eat out all that often, but like I said, I am a very all in person. I will literally bring my own salad dressing in my purse when I go to a restaurant because I know that dressing is full of seed oils, but I really like everything else on that salad. So like that's that's challenging and that can be overwhelming for a lot of people, especially if you already have a lot on your plate, if you're really busy, if you've got everything else in life, kids, sports, work, all that. You don't want to add something else. You don't even want to think about it. And
Mhm.
so that's the biggest challenge is just I think you have to have enough knowledge to care enough about it to decide that I'm going to do the hard thing because it's not easy. I wish it were easier, but it isn't easy. But it's so worth it. Your long-term health depends on it.
Yeah. I often talk with my clients about an unconditional commitment. So, like, you make a commitment to yourself unconditionally, right? Like, a lot of people are able to make conditional commitments. Like, I'll do this while it's easy. I'll do this, like, while all of the circumstances are exactly within my control. But as soon as, like, we go out to eat, then it's like, I'm just going to eat whatever the heck I want because it's too hard to go against the grain. If you're sitting with your friends and your friends are all ordering, you know, whatever and drinks and all of that, like, do you want to choose in that moment to be unconditionally committed to yourself and your own health? Or do you just want to, like, fit in and be a part of the group? So I think that's a really, like, deep introspective question you have to ask yourself. Like, are you unconditionally committed to yourself? And that doesn't mean you can't ever have, a piece of chocolate cake or something with seed oils or something. It's just like I feel like it's important to make that empowered decision, right? And saying, like, I'm going to eat this now, rather than just being like, oh, I just want to, like, fit in and I just don't want to deal with this right now. And, like, I don't even think a lot of people probably consciously think that. They just feel the pressure, that social pressure, and then they just cave before they even, like, consciously make that decision. Um, just my two
Yeah. Yeah, no,
cents.
totally. And I think that I think the 80-20 rule or whatever, I think that's stupid. I mean, I, first of all, most people who are going to say I do 80-20, it's not 80-20. It's going to be like 50-50, you know? But I also think it's ridiculous to be I will not ever eat this, you know, because there's going to be times where like you said ahead of time, I'm going to enjoy this today and I'm not going to feel guilty about it or whatever. And I don't think rigidity like strict rules should be your driving factor. It should be your desire to be healthy and to have a healthy life that helps you make those decisions, not I have to follow these rules
Yeah,
or if I break a rule then I'm done for. You know, no, absolutely not. Like your health journey is your entire life and you can always get back on track. So it has to be driven by your inner motivation and your desire to be healthy and your why. You have to have a strong why.
totally. Yeah. Choosing to, like, nourish your body, like, in a way that would glorify God and, keep you feeling your best rather than, like, sticking to strict rules. Like, I totally, totally agree with that.
I would also say the more healing that you need, the more strict you're going to need to be. But your desire, like if you understand the power of having a healthy diet and lifestyle on healing, your desire is going to be there. So you need to educate yourself. You need to figure out, you need to hear other people's stories of incredible healing. But the more healing you need, the more intense you need to be about it.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, so true. What do you think are, like, some common misconceptions that people have about, like, non-toxic living or health in general?
That's a good question. I think that I don't know if this is necessarily a common misconception, but I think that there's a lot of products out there that are now marketed as non-toxic or healthy or better that aren't,
Greenwashed.
yeah, that they're not really. That's not the case. So I think you have to know what that really looks like and seek that out because it's trendy and popular right now. So of course, any and every company is gonna to jump right on that.
So true. Yeah. So for someone who's, like, just starting out, who's listening to this and being like, "Oh, maybe I should start looking at, like, toxins in my house or ingredients in my food and stuff," like, what recommendations would you give to them, who's for somebody who's just starting out and doesn't know where to start?
So, artificial fragrances can be tremendously disrupting to your body, more so than I ever realized. I swapped out everything that had artificial fragrances. I swapped out my laundry detergent. We don't burn candles like that. Swapped out shampoo, makeup. I don't wear perfume, like any of those things. Got rid of them completely. And I know that's a very all in. Like you could start with one thing at a time. You could start with just like your laundry detergent. Just pick an unscented one at the very least, right? It doesn't have to have full clean ingredients. Just start with unscented. Uh, and then once I did that, I noticed how much fragrances give me a massive headache. Like if I walk into
Mhm.
someone's house and they've got a candle burning or one of those plug-in things, like I get a bad headache. Clearly, my body is impacted by that. But when you're inundated with it all day, every day, you don't notice that.
Yeah, so true. And sometimes like you yeah, like what you're saying, that's it like ABA. So like you have um the exposure, B is like removing the exposure, and then A is like reintroducing the exposure. And you can do that with foods, you can do that with products, you can do that and like actually see because when you're exposed to it every single day, you might not even actually notice like how terrible it makes you feel,
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
How do you think that like you also homeschool your kids? Hopefully, like you're having some downtime right now since it's summer, right?
Yes,
But
yes.
like, how do you feel like you maintain like your sanity and stay grounded and um with like you have such a full plate, homeschooling, pecan farmer's wife, like you're running so a business, you're juggling so many things, you're a mom, you're managing your platform. Like how do you do it all?
I fail all the time. I do. I fail all the time. And sometimes I allow too much on my plate. And a lot of the times the important things get neglected. And that's something that if I'm going to be totally transparent, that I'm still working on navigating because this all happened really fast. This all happened like last November. And I thought, oh, great, content creation, that's going to free up time. I used to baked goods for the farmers market. And before that, I was a photographer. Like I've always done something to contribute to our family's income. And I thought, oh, this is going to be so great because I can do it on my time. But it's very easy to let it consume you and to become like obsessed. And like if my kids are doing their lessons, I don't need to be checking my Instagram. And I do that sometimes. I fail a lot. And I'm praying through that right now. Like I need to prioritize my time with God first thing in the morning before I do anything else when I wake up. And that's my goal. And I'm still sometimes failing. So it is a lot. And I don't have a good answer. Like, I don't have a good recommendation. I'm still trying to figure that out. And there will be times, I think that where especially in my luteal phase, where I just feel like a failure on all accounts because I cannot juggle everything. So I do need to be better at navigating that.
Yeah, I think we all do. Like it's all like I'm so glad that you said that because I think that really is it's just so genuine and real. Like when people say like they have it all figured out, you just know that they're lying, because who has it all figured out? Like we might be killing it in one area, but like really struggling in another area. And um, you're not alone in that. I feel the same way. Sometimes people ask me, like, how do you do it all? It's like, does it look like I'm doing it all? Because I feel like I'm failing every single day. I will say that that is what you said, like prioritizing time with the Lord, like first thing in the morning. That's something that has gotten me through some of like the darkest times. I am so intentional about my time with the Lord first thing in the morning, reading my Bible and just like, constantly like surrendering throughout the day, constantly throughout the day, trying to remind myself to take all my thoughts captive and make them obedient to Christ. And um, just like, it's a constant going back to that. Um, because it's hard to juggle everything. I feel like in this like fast paced, like digital world, and we've got like constant notifications and we're just busy with sports and life and all the things. It's really, really hard to balance all of those things and stay like true to yourself and connected to the Holy Spirit and not like abandon yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. I've had periods of my life where I have been extremely good about starting my mornings like that. And it impacts the rest of my day, the rest of my life. Like
Yeah.
blessings. You can feel the blessings of starting your day in time with God. And yet I still sometimes struggle with that now, even knowing that the rest of my day is going to be better. It's going to be blessed if I give the very first of my day to God. And for some reason, just there's still that worldly struggle there. And I need to buckle down and be better about that, because you give him your first and your best and he blesses the rest.
Oh, I love that. You're first and your best, and he blesses the rest. I've never heard that before.
I didn't come up with that. That's a
Yeah.
pastor at a church that I used to go to, but it stuck with me. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Um, so what do you hope to like inspire people with? Like, what is your message? What with the work you're doing, like what do you hope people gain from this?
I think that first and foremost, make sure that you are your own advocate and that you do your own research. Don't just accept what is told or given to you by doctors, by scientists, or by me, or by social media influencers. I want to encourage people to go out there and to do their own research and to do their own thinking. I share what I have learned from my research and my way of thinking, but that's not the ultimate truth. I, I don't know for sure what is. I'm looking for it, but I'm trying to mostly just advocate for people to go out there and do your own research. If you have a health condition and your doctor says that the only option is this one medication, don't just accept that as the final truth. Go look for other people that have that health condition, and have any of them found healing from changing their diet, changing their lifestyle, maybe from herbs or from other natural things. And I think that 99% of the time you're going to find that there are people that have had success naturally. And just because what they did worked for them doesn't mean it's going to work for you, but that also doesn't mean that it won't. And most of the time, like, you got to look into it, but most of the time it's not going to hurt to try, to try the natural route first. And I think that diet and lifestyle play a much larger role than most any doctor is going to tell you. So you have to do your own research in that area. They're just not very well informed on that.
I love that you said that. We didn't even get into all of that. Like we could talk about that for a whole other day, but yeah, I love your message. Empowerment, because I feel like I say the same thing. I always want people to know that like healing is always possible. It doesn't matter what the diagnosis is, what your story is. Like I deal a lot with people who've experienced trauma and it's affecting their physical and mental and emotional health. And it doesn't matter. All of that stuff that's happened, like you can still heal. You can still have the life you want. You can move from overwhelm into overflow. You can be happy and experience inner peace and joy and physical vitality and energy and all the things. So thank you for doing what you do, because I think it's so important. Um, we need to just get people, like, get that message out to more people.
Yeah.
What if people want to follow you? Plug your Instagram or your whatever social media you want so people can
In,
find you.
yeah. On Instagram, I'm Great Buffalo Homestead. That's my handle. You can also just search Ann Bennett. I have my nickname's the Orchard Wife. We did that a long time ago, so it stuck. But TikTok and Instagram, Great Buffalo Homestead, and on Facebook, I think it's just Ann Bennett, the Orchard Wife.
Yay. Well, thank you so much for being here, Anne. It was such a pleasure to chat with you and hear your perspective on things. And thank you for sharing all of your wisdom and empowerment with these listeners.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. This was fun.
Awesome. Thanks everyone for listening. Go ahead and follow, like, subscribe, share this episode with a friend. Go follow Anne at The Orchard Wife on Instagram. Go find her on Facebook. Let's help get this message out to more people. Thank you for listening, and I'll catch you on the next episode. Hey everyone, thank you so much for tuning in to Holistic Health with Melissa. It is such an honor to have you here. If you found value in today's episode, would you share it with a friend who might need it too and leave us a review? If you have questions or topic suggestions, reach out on social media or visit our website, holistichealthbymelissa.com, and take care. I'll catch you on the next episode.